So for Integrated 2's video number 1, reviewing the 30, 60, 90 triangle. I'm going to go ahead and follow the steps off to the right-hand side. Follow along with me on the worksheet. Okay, the idea is being able to identify the sides based off of the angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the smallest angle first, which in this case is the 30-degree angle. Go straight across to the opposite side. We're going to identify that as lowercase a. Start from the box, which is the largest angle. Go across and identify that as 2a using the pattern that we already established in class. And then start at the medium size angle, which is the 60-degree angle, and let's identify that as a root 3. What you want to do now is take a look at all of the equations that have just resulted. So you have your first, the second, and the third. Of those 3 equations, you want to find the one where you can actually solve for a, or maybe a is even just given to you, which is really pretty nice. In this case, it just so happens that we have a given to us in the first one. So what you're going to do now that we know what a is, you're going to go over to the 2 expressions where you have a located. So everywhere you see an a in this equation, we're going to go ahead and plug in a 7. And then bring the rest of it up. Now, you know if there's no operation between the 2 and the a, that's multiplication. And then we can go ahead and do 2 times 7, which is going to give us 14. That's going to be the answer for y. We're going to go through and do the exact same process as the other one. So we know what a is. A is 7. Plug 7 in, bring everything else down. So drop down the root 3, the equal sign, and the x. Notice there's no additional work to be done here, so that's our answer for x. Sometimes it is as straightforward as that. We're given the a value, but it's not always the case. Go back, take a look at the next problem. I'm going to go through and do the same process. Start at the 30-degree angle. I'm going to go across. I'm going to identify that as a. Notice that we just created an equation of a equals y. Unfortunately, too many things unknown in that equation. We can't solve it. Start at the box, which is the largest angle. We're going to go ahead and identify that as 2a. And I think we just found the equation that we're actually going to use here. So you take a look at 15 equals 2a. Notice that the only thing that's unknown in here is a. It's not a combination of variables. But I do want to go ahead and continue. So across from the 60, this is going to be our a root 3. So taking a look at the 3 equations and then finding the single equation that we can actually solve for, which is going to be 15 is equal to 2a. All right, so in this case, we're going to have to do a tiny bit of work, not a huge amount. So I'm going to copy down my 15 is equal to 2a, just where I have some more space, and I'm going to solve for a. In this case, I do get 15 over 2, which you can turn into 7.5 if you would like, because it is exactly 7.5. All right, now that doesn't necessarily answer my x or my y just yet. So I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. Everywhere I see an a, so I'm taking a look at the x now. I'm going to plug in the 15 over 2 that I just found. And then just drop everything else down. So drop the root 3 down, drop the equal sign, and drop the x. You'll notice that x is isolated, so it looks like that's our answer for x. I'll go over and deal with the y as well. So there is an a. We're going to go ahead and plug in what we found, which is 15 over 2, or 7.5 if that's what you choose. And then we'll drop down everything else, the equals and the y. Notice that the y is isolated, so we don't really have to do anything more with that. All right, and then moving on to our third example. Same idea. I'm going to start at the 30-degree angle. I'm going to go across. I'm going to identify that as a. Notice that I do get this resulting equation of a is equal to y. However, there's too many unknowns in there, so that's not going to be the equation that I use. Go ahead and continue in identifying my sides. Opposite the box, where the largest angle is going to be 2a. I created another equation, same situation though. I have too many unknowns in here. I'm going to start at the 60-degree angle, go across, and we're going to identify this as a root 3 using the pattern. Look at the equation here. This is the equation that I'm going to use. So give myself a little bit more space. I'm going to go ahead and copy this down. Now, if you have plenty of space, there's no need to do that. So I'll get 6 root 2 off to the side is equal to a root 3. Now we know if an operation isn't shown, the only thing that it could be is multiplication. So we're going to have to divide by root 3 on each side. So root 3 divided by root 3 simplifies. So it looks like we end up with 6 root 2 over root 3 is equal to a. However, we're not allowed to have that square root of 3 on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and rationalize this. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 3, which is fine because it's technically just 1. We multiply straight across. So we have a 6, but then you'll notice that both the 3 and the 2 are inside the root. So they can actually be multiplied. So that's going to give me a 6 root 6, and then root 3 times root 3 is root 9. But root 3 times root 3 equaling 9, root 9 is actually 3. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that as 3. And this I can simplify because I can simplify the 6 and the 3. If I do that, looks like I'm going to get 2, and then just carry the root 6 along with you. So there's A. All right, now that we have found A, we're going to go through and do the exact same thing that we did previously. Everywhere we see an A, we're going to plug in what we found. So we end up with 2 root 6, and then drop everything else down, an equal sign and a y. Variables isolated, that's our answer for y. We're going to go through and do the exact same thing for this one. So there's my A. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 2 root 6 that we had, and then just drop everything else. So multiplication dot, bring the 2 up, the equal sign, and the x. You can actually multiply the 2 and the 2 since they're both outside the root. That's going to give me a 4, and then carry the root 6 with me. You notice that the x is isolated now. There's no other variables. Looks like that's our answer.